I did a video with Sprout Social and I belly flopped in the pool. Like literally, I was speaking at an event. There's like people there, and I'm like,
how can we get a brand to sponsor me jumping in the pool after this?
and then no one did. So then I go to Sprout Social, who I was already working with, and I'm like, I have this crazy idea. Do you guys want this to be part of my video? And they're like, yes, do it. The CTA was right at the point where I was belly flopping in. So everyone's watching because they want to see me belly flop. And at the point where I'm belly flopping, it's like the #1 social media management tool is Sprout Social. That 90% of consumers remember ads that are funny, yet only 18% of business leaders say their ads contain any bit of humor. So there's a gap there. That's what No Boring Brands is there to fill. When I talk with brands, they're like, hey, we don't want to be the class clown. Like, we don't want our brand to become a joke. That's what happens when you're using distasteful humor, but wit, that's how you convey intelligence. And so that's what we do with our brands. I'm just carving out a new lane that also work. And like in B2B, the cost per demo is like $300 to $800. We're booking them one demo per day. So one demo per day, 30 per month. We started work with like way bigger brands. Like one of our clients, they're a $120 billion company. They're literally, I think they're 30th largest company in the world. But at the root of all of it is they don't know how to reach their target audience organically on social media.
Welcome back to the podcast where we break down what actually works in marketing and why some brands still manage to get it completely wrong. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, which is how to make B2B marketing not boring. And I don't think there's a better person to talk about this than you, Aidan Brannigan. He's the founder of No Boring Brands, the agency proving that B2B content doesn't have to be dry, robotic, and forgettable. He's worked with brands like Clay, Fiverr Pro, SEMrush, helping them turn complex topics into shareable content. And he's also one of the best at breaking down what kind of humor works in marketing and what kind of content makes you cringe. Aidan, excited to have you on. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I'm excited to be here. I'll just hit everyone with a fact, and you'll be able to see the ethos behind why I started No Boring Brands. But Oracle did a study and found that 90% of consumers remember ads that are funny, yet only 18% of business leaders say their ads contain any bit of humor. So there's a gap there. That's what No Boring Brands is there to fill.
So is that what made you start this brand? Obviously, every founder has that one moment where they realize this isn't working. I need to do something completely different. No one's doing this. What was that moment like for you?
So that moment for me was like a series of moments. And now looking back, it looks like, oh, that was serendipitous. Of course it worked out this way. But I'm a big fan of this guy, Naval Ravikant. He's kind of like a modern day philosopher. And he talks about pursuing the things that come naturally to you instead of pursuing your passions, because you can do them more efficiently than everyone and you can do it longer than everyone and you'll be better than everyone at it. So you can make more money. It's a competitive advantage. And so he says to think about the things you were doing naturally as a kid that you assumed everyone else could do. Those are the skills you need to double down on. And like, this was like maybe 3 years ago, I kind of just sat down and I'm like, what is that skill for me? Like, I'm good at math. Like, I really love numbers, but like, is it that? And then I was like, I'm kind of witty. Like, I'm quick on my feet. And I've noticed like I never thought that was a skill. And so I realized that's it. Like, that's me at the core, and I need to productize that. So that was like the beginning. So Naval Ravikant, there's a book about him, and that's really where it started. But I worked at the Marketing Millennials, and our whole funnel was humor based, and we're making memes, and I was making all the memes. So that was part of it too.
Love that. You don't necessarily think to put together math, someone really good at math and humor. So
Yeah.
love, it's a great combination.
See, this is a thing that when I talk with brands, they're like, hey, we don't want to be the class clown. Like, we don't want our brand to become a joke. That's what happens when you're using distasteful humor or humor not rooted in enough research. You come across as like this brash, like class clown, and brands do not want that. But wit, that's how you convey intelligence. And so that's what we do with our brands. And like humor and the ability to crack a joke is one of the highest forms of intelligence signals out there. And we're just giving it to brands.
That's how we connect in other areas of our life. Like that humor is like the base of everything. So like, why not bring that to B2B side of things? Where do you think this internal resistance comes from? Like teams kind of just default to safe marketing. Do you think it's because of that's what leadership expects and you just have to keep it safe as a marketer?
Yeah, there's like multiple parts. It's like maybe some people have a family, they don't want to risk losing their job, so they're just going to do what they're told. But also like webinars and blog posts, like the reason brands still do them is because they actually do work. They definitely do work if they're done like they can drive all sorts of leads for you if you do them correctly. I'm just carving out a new lane that also works and also has these added benefits of, it helps with the recruiting, right? One of our clients, like I'll say quarterly, someone they hire, like whether it's leadership or it's an entry level position, will be like, yeah, I originally applied because I saw your guys' content. I thought it was fun. And I was like, this brand is cool. I want to work there. Your blog posts aren't going to do that for you. Your webinars aren't going to do that for you, but this content will. And like in B2B, the cost per demo is like $300 to $800. We're booking them one demo per day. So one demo per day, 30 per month.
What's kind of like the main use case when B2B brands come to you? Like, what's the commonality between all of them? Like, what do they say when they come to you?
So we started to work with like way bigger brands. Like one of our clients, Palo Alto Networks, they're a $120 billion company. They're literally, I think they're the 30th largest company in the world. So like their situation's way different than, we're working with Opus Clip, which is a pretty big B2B company as well, but nowhere near $120 billion. So their needs are different. But at the root of all of it is they don't know how to reach their target audience organically on social media. That's like the biggest pain point. It's like, hey, we have to pay to play, and B2B brands have tons of budget, so they can pay to play. But we kind of alleviate that pain. We're like, yo, we can build you a community that actually converts over the long run.
B2B marketing has kind of a reputation for being dry, yet your agency, like you said, is generating hundreds of millions of organic impressions. What's the framework for turning those boring topics into content that people actually want to share, want to be part of? And what do brands mostly get wrong when they're creating content?
Yeah, it's like the foundation of every piece of content we make is rooted in pain points. So the content we make is all circled around humor and tying it into our client's niche. And we're not cracking jokes about our clients' products or services. We're actually just cracking jokes and like pulling on the pain points that their target audience is feeling without their product or service. So like, let's say like Opus Clip, instead of making a meme about like, oh, I saved so much time using this tool, like, and it's like so freeing. We're making memes about like a picture of Ben Affleck carrying donuts, a coffee. He's got like his shoe untied and this guy's a wreck. And we're like, actual footage of me trying to juggle my email inbox, video editing, XYZ. And we're signaling to their target audience that like, hey, like we see you're struggling. That's why we built this tool. So trust us when we tell you this tool will save you time and make you way more efficient in your job. That's how we use that. So it all comes back to pain points. And to get to those pain points, before we create any content, we're doing 1 to 2 weeks of research that's initially prompted by our client. They give us some information that like in a form that we've made that initiates our research phase where we can get to the pain points and then begin to make that content.
Amazing. It's creating that brand experience. One brand that comes to mind, Monzo. They
Yeah,
do
I
it
know Monzo.
amazing on
Yeah,
LinkedIn, Ryanair on Twitter, Duolingo on TikTok. But
literally.
people want to be part of that relatable experience. Many brands still fall onto that default safe place, knowing that it doesn't work and it doesn't take them anywhere. And obviously, humor is one of the hardest things to get right. But when it works, it works. Why does humor work so well in marketing, and how brands can use it without feeling forced or cringy?
Yeah, the reason I see it work so well is like everyone's initial gut reaction when when they sense something is an ad, they're like, okay, like you're not gonna get me. Whereas if you lead with humor first and give them something, like give them a little treat, like crack a joke, like hook them in, their guard's gonna be down, and then like they're like really engaged, and then you hit them with the CTA at the end. Like I think there's a flawed thinking of like we have to say this in the first 3 seconds, we have to reference this, we have to show this product. My goal is how can I just get the viewer to listen and watch the CTA? I don't care how we get there. I just want them to be aware and hear the CTA. I think that's way more valuable than anything else. So like I did a video with Sprout Social and I belly flopped in the pool. Like literally I was speaking at an event, and at the event there was a pool, and I'm like, there's like people there, and I'm like, if anyone wants to like pay me, I will belly flop in the pool for your brand and make it into a video.
That's
And
so fun.
everyone's like, yeah, right. And then no one did. So then I go to Sprout Social, who I was already working with, and I'm like, I have this crazy idea. Do you guys want this to be part of my video? And they're like, yes, do it. So I belly flopped in the pool. I looped in that video of me asking people if they'd pay me to belly flop in the pool. And it was like this cool integration. But the CTA was right at the point where I was belly flopping in. So everyone's watching because they want to see me belly flop. And at the point where I'm belly flopping, it's like the number one social media management tool is Sprout Social. So I get everyone to watch the CTA. That's like my North Star goal. I know I'm kind of like rambling here, but
I'm loving this story, and I need to. Is it on Sprout Social's Instagram? Because I need to go and check that out.
this was a brand partnership post. So this was on my LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'll send it to you though.
Yes, please. I love that. That is so, you know what? It just seems so much fun. And I can see everyone wanting to be a part of both brand and the user. And like I say it all the time, I love marketing. I don't mind being sold to, as long as you make it like it's part of my daily life, something relatable, something that's already there, and you just add that. I don't mind. Make me buy your product, just make it fun throughout the process. But speaking of big names like Sprout Social, you obviously worked with big names, like you said, like Fiverr Pro as well, Claire. What have you learned from working with these brands that other business, both big and small, can take away and apply it to their own social strategies?
That's a good question. Okay. So the big guys, just as much as the little guys, don't know what they're doing. So if you're a small fish and you're worried about the big fish, like just relax. Like just as much as you feel like you don't know what you're doing, they feel the exact same way. So that's been kind of interesting. And like, I don't want to say any client specifically, but just like looking internally at my clients and realizing like these big enterprises, like they're not much different than my small business as far as like how they function and, maybe the gaps sometimes. So that's like separate from the marketing world, but just like something cool I've learned for sure.
And obviously, you've mastered the art of making bold content at scale. How do you convince, because I'm sure you've had this a lot, risk averse brands to embrace humor and personality without losing that credibility?
Like I do benefit from the fact that a lot of my leads are inbound. So they already see and they're already warmed up a little bit. And if they're booking a call with me, they're already like, all right, let's just see what this guy's about. But I do have a sales guy who does cold outreach for me. And so those leads are less warm, obviously. And so I have to do more convincing. And it goes back to that piece of like, hey, we're not going to, I just reassure them like, yes, we're making funny content, but we're not going to make your brand become a joke. That is the exact opposite of what we're going to do. Instead, we're going to convey intelligence and understanding of your target audience through humor. And usually when they hear that, they're like, okay. And then I'll just explain them. I'll be like, all right, tell me quickly like who you're targeting and what their biggest pain point is. And they'll be like, oh, it's marketers and they just have to post on 12 channels at once. So like they're struggling. And I'm like, all right, so instead of making a meme about how like your competitor sucks, we're gonna make a meme about the marketer you're targeting and them running on 4 coffees and still having to schedule the entire content calendar and it's already 4 p.m. on a Friday. And that is gonna be the meme. And usually they can start to see the picture and they're like, oh, I can see how that attract the people we want. And we're not putting anyone down. We're just signaling to our audience that we understand them. That's usually like what I run them through.
So kind of like educate them on bold doesn't equal reckless, doesn't equal all of that, but it's just about standing out strategically more than anything.
And I also have like some clients don't care about this stuff, but I say like personally, I have some guidelines that I don't like any of the content I make, I will not include in your content. And that's anything political and then punching down on people that can't defend themselves. And then like anything religious, like we don't make any content about that. And usually if you avoid those 3 things, it's like virtually impossible to get canceled.
Yeah.
Which is another fear of brands.
Yeah, because I can imagine there's a fine line. Have you ever had or been close to that?
We did make a meme for them that went insanely viral. So much so that the celebrity that was in the meme had their team send a cease and desist to the brand. that was in September. That was kind of funny, but it all worked out. Like nothing happened. We just kind of took the meme down, and everyone was cool.
Did your stomach drop? Like, did you were like, oh my God, what is this? Or
yeah. It was actually a pivotal moment in the positioning of the business. So I ran this business for a year without a website, without a logo, without anything. And I worked with over 20 brands. And then I quit my full-time job in October of 2024. That moment the month before of realizing, oh, there's a cease and desist being sent to this brand we work with, was a realization that if we want to work with bigger brands, we kind of have to mitigate risk and find a different way to create content that is humor based for these brands. So that's where Skits came into play. So originally it was just memes, and that whole first year was solely memes, but now it's memes and skits. And the skits, like sometimes I'm in the videos, but we have creators, Seamus, Timothée, and they're in the videos, and like there's no third party content. So there's no cease and desists that are going to come of it.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. When you say skit-based videos, I constantly think of Obed because I think he's just so good at it.
Yes.
And I think a lot of brands are kind of waking up to that, the power of that kind of content, meme marketing, skit-based videos, everything. What do you think is the next evolution of B2B social? What strategies do you think will be outdated like 5 years from now?
Yeah. Strategy outdated 5 years from now is going to be podcast clips. Like, I think everyone missed the mark on that in B2B. Podcast clips were amazing and huge for like podcasts like whatever, Caller Daddy, Joe Rogan, like the mass applicable podcasts, they crushed, right? Everyone would see a 20-second clip of someone super smart talking about a really cool life like tip or something. With B2B, like no one wants to like you're not really going to do much by having a 20-second clip of a dude talking about how to do ABM at scale or whatever it may be. So I think people missed the mark on that. So in 5 years, I think that's going to be irrelevant. But I do think like vlogging and YouTube vlog style content, where it's maybe like a 2 to 5 minute vlog, I think that's going to become like the next format in B, like whether it be through brand accounts or personal accounts, but like you already see some creators doing it. Like I try and do it, but the people on in B2B that clearly took inspiration from YouTube, like growing up or whatever it is, like I think those are gonna be the next big creators, and brands who have those people on their team are gonna win.
Making a comeback.
Yeah.
I think people want more of that relatability and storytelling because we're so, I don't know, robotic, especially with AI and all of that. They want to see the human side of it. So I'm sure you'll be very busy helping brands do that.
Thank you.
And that's the end of the questions, which was so short. I really, really enjoyed it. I think if one thing that stood out for me is that brands don't need to be loud, they just need to be bloody interesting. And humor, personality, and knowing exactly what your audience likes and what they want to see, it's a huge part of that. But for anyone who wants to learn more about you or who wants to use your services as part of their marketing strategy, where's the best place to connect with you? Obviously LinkedIn, but yeah. Keep plugging there.
Yeah, I mean, you can just follow me on LinkedIn, Aidan Brannigan, and then noboringbrands.co. And one other thing I'd say, like anyone listening to this that wants to do something like crazy in a good way, like a new idea, just ignore everyone else, ignore what everyone else is doing on social media, and just sit and think and bring something new to the timeline. There's a book called Creativity or Ignore Everybody and 37 Keys to Creativity. And like, that's a decent book if you're trying to really bring some crazy ideas to social media that will have impact. But that's all.
Definitely look into that. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.